The one thing that is missing from all other teachers, gurus, course providers, anything like that, is the use of persuasive writing. We as content providers, that is our foundational skill set. We have to provide content that gets deep inside the reader's brain and persuades them to our or our client's way of thinking, and to lead them to do what we need them to do, which is to click. We're going to go over those 8 steps that'll help you understand and implement persuasive writing for your content. Let's roll that intro. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Copy Shop Video Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff. I'm the owner of the outdoor writing company and have been for over 25 years. I'm also the owner, creator, and lead instructor here at the Copy Shop. Today, we're going to be going over one of the most not talked about subjects when it comes to content creation. Doesn't matter if it's long form, short form, email, digital marketing, script writing, VSLs, doesn't matter. It is persuasive writing. Nobody talks about this. Nobody goes over how to do it. Nobody goes over how to think about it. Nobody goes over into the in-depth procedure of how to use persuasive writing. This is going to be your foundation skill set for everything you do from here out. Seriously, from everything you do from here out, persuasive writing is going to be your foundational skill set. One content provider that I've known for quite some time, Sean Ogle, he's on YouTube, and he says, if you know persuasive writing and you're good at it, you can go anywhere you want and name your price. That's how powerful persuasive writing is. Now we're going to go over 8 little information portions of how to do persuasive writing. We're also going to have a couple links included at the end of this video. One's going to be for how to get deep inside the reader's brain, and one is going to be the Google Doc for this whole training process here. Very helpful, very insightful. So getting deep inside the reader's brain is something that it's kind of mentioned in other areas and other course providers. Here at the Copy Shop, we really focus on that. We really do. Because as the content providers like myself and you, we have to know what our paying client thinks, what they do, what they offer, what they sell, what are their services. And who is buying that? Who is actually their audience? We went over inside the Copy Cup membership some really good information on this, on how to identify and really target down that audience. So when you get inside the Discord at the Copy Shop, you sign up for the Copy Cup membership. It's free. And there's literally hundreds and hundreds of hours of free content training that breaks down things of how to get deep inside the reader's brain, persuasive content, extreme outreach, how to use the word but in a conversation, stuff that no one else teaches that makes and takes your content leaps and bounds of everybody else. So getting deep inside the reader's brain, you as the content creator, as the writer, need to know who or whom you are writing to. Now, one of the strategies that's taught a lot by other course providers is you write for one so millions can read. Okay, but if those millions are in a segmented group, writing for the one is not going to be persuasive enough for that group. So you have to write for the group. No one talks about that. We do. We're going over that right now. Understanding the client, their wants, their needs, their desires, their products, goods, and services, and their audience is your number one job when it comes to gathering information. Without it, your content can't relate. You can't persuade anybody to do anything, because all you're doing is copy and paste what others have written that have no clue of what's going on. You don't want to do that. You're going to get nowhere if you try. That's why we teach the way we do. Besides getting in deep inside the reader's brain and understanding everything about everything before you start to put pen to paper, so to speak. Nobody does that. We always keyboard, but pen to paper. Your message and content must have a pretext to it. Now, when I'm submitting long-form content to newspapers, articles, periodicals, and other publications, blogs, etc., I always include a 2 to 3, sometimes 4 sentence pretext describing what that article or what that content or what that narrative is about. So the editor, the person in charge, the marketing professional, all have a clue, an idea of what's happening with that content, besides reading it and trying to figure it out on their own. Same with digital marketing, especially with email marketing. If you submit your Google Doc or Word doc or whatever format it's on, hopefully Google, to your paying client, key phrase, paying client, that client has to be able to understand what the message is about. Where you, the content writer, where do you want to take the writer? How do you want to guide them through the message? How do you want to persuade them? And what is the CTA? You need to tell the client this information. The pretext is real important, very important. And when you're speaking to the client, you want to let them know, hey, by the way, I'm going to include a pretext on a couple of these messages until you and I start figuring out how we're going to work together better. The pretext is going to say what the message or the content is about, the direction, the topic, the subject, the CTA, so you will have a better understanding of how I provide the content to you. And the client's going to say, oh, okay, cool. Thanks, man. Because nobody does that. Nobody does that. And when you do that for a client, they're very appreciative. Very appreciative. Because most of the time, when you include a pretext, they don't even look at the message. They just look at that pretext and say, okay, cool, good, send it. And away they go. That's what we want. Now, getting deep inside the reader's brain, understanding what the pretext is, you're wondering, what is persuasive writing? What is it? Well, it is what we do. We have to provide the content that guides the reader's brain through the message, persuades them to our way of thinking, and to do what we want them to do, which is press the button, press the click, follow through, hit the link, smash the button, whatever you want to call it. That's what we want. Now, the concept of that, everything comes into place before that. Pre-qualify, conducting deep research, finding out everything about the client, understanding the target audience, understanding the goods, the products, the needs, the services of what the client offers. That all comes prior to this. That way, you, the content provider, know exactly how to create your message. Using descriptive writing, We always hear that being too descriptive is a no-no when it comes to email copywriting. Yes and no. We want to use it as a tool, as a leverage point for the persuasiveness of the message, but not the overall salesy portion of it. Now, we have seen and heard and watched and listened to people do this simple little thing. Sell me this pen. Right? Come on. Right? Come on. We've seen it. So a person will go, well, this pen, it's uniquely built, very strong, very durable, comes with a lot of ink, and has a very fine point. Lasts a long time. Well, that doesn't do anything. Like, okay, well, will it work? Will it stop writing after 5 minutes like all the other ones you buy at the outlet stores? Instead, you use more descriptive nature. You really should buy this pen. No, you really should. This pen allows you to express your thoughts onto paper so smoothly, so effortlessly, so distinctively, that once you pick this pen up, it becomes an extension of your success. I know, cheesy, right? But that's the descriptive nature when you see somebody says, sell me this pen. We want to use that for persuasiveness. We want to use the descriptive nature. We just talked about that. We want to use the getting inside the reader's brain. And we want to use all of our information that we discovered about the client to help us describe their goods, products, needs, services, etc. That's part of the persuasive writing. You want to find the right words and phrases to use. And you're like, okay, is there a dictionary? Is there a book? Is there a cheat sheet? Yes, no, kind of, sort of. Not really much of an answer, I know. Because persuasive writing covers such a broad spectrum. A huge broad spectrum. And by going through those prior steps, it gives you the information you need to think more clearly, more creatively, and more objectively on how to guide the reader through the message. You want to use structures, okay? The structures will help you outline your creative thought process. I like to write using the Disrupt, Intrigue, Click, the DIC structure. It's one of my favorites. That and the ADA, which is attention, interest, desire, action. Those are my favorite ones to use, and I've been using those for a long time. I know the structure. I've done the research on the client. I know their products, goods, and services. I know the audience. I know how to get into the reader's brain. I'm going to use that structure and the descriptive nature, like we went over, sell me this pen, to find different words and phrases through a creative process in your brain, in my brain, to make that happen. Okay? Structures are going to be very important for you to understand how they work and why they are there to use. Most of that is taught in the free side of the CopyCut membership. The paid course goes into even more detail and more descriptive nature on it, which I strongly suggest. Building upon the structure allows you to become more creative with the overall process. When you become creative with the overall process, you will learn to be more descriptive, more guiding, and a stronger CTA. This all comes with time and practice. When you're thinking of how to be the persuasive writer in your content for your message, you want to use facts, statements, quotes, and something that I am very near and dear to using, and we talk about it inside the Copy Cup membership. The whole instructional portion is inside the lifetime membership, and that's NLP marketing, neuro-linguistic programming marketing. The concept of what that means takes the persuasive writing concept and amplifies it 100%. Like, how is that possible? It is so unique and so descriptive and thought-provoking on how the content is written. The reader will basically be looking and reading the message on their computer, and at the end they're smashing the keyboard. Yes, yes, yes. This is what I've been looking for. That is the result we want each and every single time. That is what we strive to do. We do that through all of these steps in chronological order. You got to follow the steps, the procedures. That gives you the insight to think and become creative enough to use words, phrases, directions, along with descriptions to conduct great persuasive content. Leave your comments down below if this was helpful or not. If you've ever heard of persuasive writing or NLP marketing. And don't forget to click the link for getting deep inside the reader's brain and the link to the Google Doc on the persuasive writing teaching aspect of everything. Until next time, study, learn, and become proficient inside the copy shop.